Hey everybody, welcome to a new series I'm starting on my YouTube channel called Otaku Pandering, which as the name suggests will be exactly what it says it's about, otaku items and collecting. Now, I know there's a lot of videos out there of figurine unboxings, specific room tours, etc. that exist in the anime and 2D animation industry. And there's a lot of YouTube channels with many subscribers, people who do anime reviews, all sorts of good stuff out there, but I kind of want to go a little more in depth and be a little more down to earth with this series because, as you know, my YouTube channel is not really about editing. My videos are sometimes extremely long, so I'm trying to find a way to cut these videos into shorter segments and also provide material that you can use that will be useful for you, for those of you that enjoy learning about this hobby, for those of you that enjoy getting ideas for collecting in this hobby, or maybe even want to start doing something like this yourself. And each one of these videos I'm going to release in this series is going to be catered to a specific theme. For example, this first one here will be all about bedding. Other ones will pertain to figurine collecting, perhaps tapestries and posters, as far as even clothing as well. Now there's a lot of different sub-genres when it comes to collecting in otaku merchandise, and each one will try to not only give me a chance to A, show off my collection and what I have, for a sort of room tour, I suppose, but also B, give you tips, tricks, ideas as to what you can expect to pay when you get into this hobby for these specific items, and also just ideas of where you can find this stuff as well. Japanese goods are very difficult to find on the internet, and there's a lot of resources out there, especially if you're not living in Japan. So hopefully this video series is extremely helpful to you guys. I will try to keep each of these segments pretty short, but for the most part, I'll do the best I can. The first video here in this series will be all about otaku bedding. And what I mean by bedding is it refers to anything from Daikimakura to blankets to throw pillows to covers and bed sheets to cushion covers, whatever you can think of. Basically anything that relates to an item you'd find on a bed, a couch, a futon, whatever it may be, or wherever you may sleep. And this was kind of a moment in my life where I went on a kind of spending spree. I bought a lot of different Daikimakura for my collection, and a lot of these were extremely expensive, especially since they were ones from Comiket. And I'm going to describe a little bit of differences between Daikimakura and also the ones I've purchased and where you can find stuff like that. Now, I'm no expert in this topic when it comes to Daikimakura. I have a few. I'd say I have about 9 in my collection. And while that may seem like a lot, it's not as much as some people. So I try to only get ones that are really enjoyable for me and I actually enjoy looking at on occasion because the art style is very cool. Mainly they're used for display purposes. I don't really use them for their intended purpose, which would be to sleep with, but they are extremely comfortable. So I'm going to kind of give you some tips and tricks regarding not only the pillows, but also just everything in general. Now what I'll do in this video format is I'll kind of go through each of the items I have to not only give you a chance to see what I own, but also display prices that pertain to each item, as well as what you can expect to pay. Now, there will be a lot of links and descriptions in the video description box below, so feel free to click any of the links and check any of them out, including the not safe for work images for some of the items in this video series. And if you have any questions, of course, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section and or message me on YouTube. I try my best to occasionally go back and answer messages when I can. But why don't we get started with otaku merchandise when it comes to bedding. Now I have a bag in front of me. Many of you may know this artist, the same artist who does the Koiga Sakukura Sakuradoki, which was recently picked up by Sekai Project from the original fan translation group. And I really like this person's art. I don't know if it's a female or male. And I actually ended up picking up this bag specifically in Radio Kaikan on the 3rd floor in K-Books. They were selling a small little handbag from Comiket, I believe it was 88. And I decided to pick it up because I thought it was really adorable. So, Palette makes some pretty good VNs, at least art style wise. I've played a little bit of Koigasaku and I enjoyed it to its extent for what it's worth. It's mostly just a slice of life, fun VN that, as most edgy VNs, try to get a little more serious as time goes on. I recommend trying it out though. I haven't really read a VN in about 2 years now, so the last one I did read was actually Okana and Kokoro Function. But I definitely recommend checking out because visual novel art styles and the people who do the visual novel artwork are fantastic artists, and it's sad to see that it's hard to find a lot of their material on their Pixiv page where they do more than the characters they're designed to draw, but they do some of the characters that are popular in anime series, manga series, because they like to do fan works themselves. Now, This bag has a lot of my blankets and bed sheets in it, which I'll be taking out in a little bit. For the first part of this video, though, we're going to be discussing the actual Daikimakura. So I'm going to move this bag out of the way. And we'll start by talking about the pillows that are displayed before you. Now, you'll notice that a lot of these have more circle artist appeal to them. Some of them are official artwork. And even some of them are kind of in their own style that aren't actually official art from the show. You'll notice, for example, the mare is an official work of Mare from Eternal Heart. And this is the actual artist who does Favorites art. And I decided to pick up this pillow because it was a good purchase. This was about 15,000 yen, I'd say, from Mandarake. Lolly characters are, of course, more expensive when it comes to merchandise. That's something always to keep in mind when you're shopping. But I ended up picking up the mare because I thought she was fun buy. Now, the one thing you will notice about a lot of these Daikimakura, these are all two-way tri-cut. They're not the non-stretchable material that Cospa provides. It's the actual material that is stretchable and extremely comfy. And you'll notice when I get down to level here, this material actually does stretch, and you can pull it. It is slight polyester. I don't remember the other material that's used in it. But when you fill this with polyfill, as you may have seen in another video of mine where I demonstrate how to stuff Daikimakura, at least how I do it, these become extremely comfy pillows. They're wonderful to rest on, they're wonderful to use, and the more you have, the more you can kind of bundle yourself up. Now, body pillows are usually a size of 160 centimeters by, I want to believe it's 50 centimeters. I know there's some 150 centimeter ones, but they changed the size, and there's a whole story behind that because of the shipping weight for the item size and all this other jazz. And I won't go into the whole history of Daikimakura because I'm definitely not an expert, and I believe there's plenty of YouTube channels out there that are way better equipped to talk about that kind of stuff. But for me, it's mainly just my tips and tricks that I think you should check out for Daikimakura. Now, Mandarake has a lot of these. Mandarake has a lot of Daikimakura. One thing I will tell you is that Chino from Gochuman Usagi wa Desu Ka is actually the most expensive Daikimakura on the market. Her Daikimakura run anywhere from 60,000 yen, which with exchange rate today in USD is around $600, to 50,000 yen, 40,000 yen, and down. Chino is extremely popular as a character, and you'll find a lot of her merchandise on the site. Daikimakura are everywhere in Mandarake. They're a great place to pick them up, but because most of them are from Comiket and are limited, they cost a lot more money. They're really cheap to ship, though, because they're mainly just, well, items that are folded up. Around 2,000 yen, which is the minimum price, I believe, for shipping EMS. And you can also ship potentially SAL, etc. So that's always a plus. Now, the mare here is one I picked up for about 15,000. And as I mentioned, I'll show you some not safe for work images of the back sides of these when I'm finished. The Hibiki one I actually just ended up picking up from Amiyami. I believe she was about 12,000 yen. Might have been a little less. I don't remember her exact price. Now, I ended up picking her up and was very happy because I thought she'd not be two-way tri-cut, but then I realized she was, and she is the stretchy material. And Hibiki is obviously my favorite character from Senran Kagura, even though I've never seen the show and refuse to ever read anything with it. Just her character design is really cool, and I like it. Over here we have the circle artist from Chocolate Cube, and this is Hibiki, or Vierni, whichever one you want to consider her. Hibiki is my, well, I want to say second favorite Kanko character of all time, and Matsukaze being my first. After that comes Row 500, as you can see in the back there, which we'll get to. And then after that comes Iku, or I-19. Hibiki is probably one of my favorite. I love her. This pillow cost probably around 20,000 yen. Hibiki was a lot more of a heavier price range, just because maybe it's just the character design. I have no idea. So these ones are all pretty expensive. Going over here, this Chino was around 17,000 yen, I believe. This one is, I want to also say, from might be Chocolate Cube as well. There might be a difference on that one. I don't remember specifically the circle artist for this Daikimakura, but I know she's one of them, and I can't remember the specific circle that did this. So I apologize for that, but Chino, as I mentioned, is always extremely expensive, and you'll see another Chino one in a bit. This one was from the Bahumat show. I don't remember the exact title. It's listed down there if anyone wants to post it in the comments section. And this is Philippi. I really just got this one because I liked the underwear on it and the lingerie and also the look of it, including the backside. Both sides were actually really appealing. So this also was a two-way tri-cut, and I made sure that after getting the Senran Kagura Hibiki, I made sure to get the two-way tri-cut for this one as well. So overall, you can tell kind of that this is more of a high-end price range for those who want to get into this kind of hobby with otaku collecting. Now, one of the reasons I actually buy a lot of this stuff, as I shift around over here to show you the other Daikimakura, is because that when I buy Daikimakura, it's essentially a way to spice up my room. I don't really use these for a lot of purposes, except for really just to have that kind of pizzazz when somebody walks in. The best thing about an otaku room is the colors. And many of you may agree with this, is that when you walk into a room, the first thing you want to see is a lot of 2D animation. You want your walls to be covered with stuff. You want figurines to be all over your room. You want this merchandise to be everywhere, because when people walk in, they see all these characters and all this merchandise, and it catches your attention. The more you have, the bigger and better you seem your collection is. I mean, you can have a small little mini thing that you keep, but the more you have, the more it spices up your room. And one of the reasons I bought these Daikimakura was to add that color and pizzazz to my room. And this is actually with a lot of my collecting. I love collecting figurines because it adds more pizzazz to my room. I like looking at the room. I feel that once I find the time to not be lazy and go through all this, it will look a lot better. So that's one reason when I get into later videos in this series as to why I might purchase, for example, tapestries or wall scrolls, or even print those custom posters, which I'll talk about a little later. But moving along here, we have the chino. Now this chino is from the circle artist Essentia. It's the same official artist that does the work for Nanoha Vivid, if you've watched that new anime, or the really good animation one with Vivid and Einhardt and all those characters. This character, or this circle artist, I forgot his name. I believe it's starts with an F, Fujiya or something. Fukima, I don't remember his exact name. And he's a really good artist. This one really caught my eye. Now, some of his characters he does, I don't like the face. But this one specifically, the way he did Chino was really awesome, and I was really happy with it. Moving along, we have, again, the same artist who does the Koigasaku work, Kosaki, from the actual VN itself. And, I'm sorry, not Kosaki, Kotori. And I think this one was really nicely done because I really like this artist. And again, it is a two-way tricut. To give you an idea, the chino was about 20,000 yen, and it's a little bit price dropped to 15,000 yen, I'd say. And the Kotori was around, I'd say, 15,000 yen as well. Moving over here, we have the Roll 500 from Private Garden, another circle. This one was a little expensive. This Roll 500, I want to say, was around 20,000 yen. She's not a cheap one, so I ended up purchasing that Roll 500 for a larger price. And then moving on to the last Daikimakura I have over here, I have, of course, Einhardt from Nanoha Vivid. Now, this one was actually my first one I bought off of a proxy site, and it ended up coming in a good condition. I was pretty happy with it, so no dissatisfaction there. Of course, it is an official one because there is a bootleg of this one. You can tell based on the appearance, the mouth appearance, the actual coloring, etc., because bootlegs with Daikimakura are easy to pick out based on their appearance and based on the actual pose that is used. Now, one thing with Daikimakura is I collected all of the official Comic-Con ones, but it's actually a lot cheaper to purchase bootlegs because, one, you can pick and choose which artwork you think is the best, and then at the same time you can also get pretty good decent pillows and pay not a large price. Now, one of the things is that when it comes to Daikimakura, it's important to consider what kind of pillows you want to collect. For example, do you want to collect cheaper pillows that are bootlegs and do all the stuffing yourself? Do you want to collect pillows that are more official Comic-Con merchandise because then you have rare items? These Daikimakura can actually go for quite a lot of money, and I can sell them back for quite a lot of money because they're more rare. And in addition, if you have a seller from a country that is not Japan, it makes it that much better. Who wants to go to these proxy sites in Mandarake to order all this stuff and pay for all that shipping when, boom, you can get it for way cheaper, and then also you can ship this item to the US. I've always said this about this hobby. It's beneficial because while it does cost a lot of money for 2D animation hobby collecting with otakuism, it also is extremely well off because you can trade these items back and get some money back worth the collection. People will always want figurines. People will always want this kind of merchandise because it's really hard to find, and there are buyers out there. It's just a matter of finding those people and where they exist. Anime is popular enough in the West that people will want this kind of stuff. But anyways, that's enough with the Daikimakura. Of course, if you have any questions regarding that. Let's move on to some bed sheets, shall we? I think that'd probably be a good idea. What I'm going to do here is just move some of these items off the actual bed itself and make some room for some merchandise to be put down. I think that'll be some good space. I'll go in my little bag of goodies here and start with some Prisma Ilia bed sheets. I lied, we'll actually start with the Gochumon bed sheet. Alright, the first bed sheet you're going to see here is one from Gochumon. Now, this bed sheet cost about, I'd say, 12,000 yen, maybe about 15,000 yen, only because it's not easy to really find. Bedding merchandise is extremely difficult to find. I mean, you can find it, but it's not as easy as it looks to find this kind of merchandise. And so one of the things I always tell collectors is that if you're looking for this kind of merchandise, understand that it's going to be pretty challenging to find this kind of stuff, especially when it comes to character goods and bedding. Now this one's from Gochumon. There's another one of the other two characters from the original show. I like this one because, of course, I like Chino, and I wanted her on a bedsheet. Now, Chino, of course, is extremely expensive when it comes to goods, and so that's why this always is priced a lot more. The thing about bedding is that I'm a tall guy. I'm about 6'3", I'd say about 193 centimeters, so this kind of merchandise is extremely challenging for me to, well, in this case, rest with. So it doesn't really fit my bed. The bed's, it's for smaller Japanese beds for smaller people. And, with a twin size bed or whatever size bed you get, queen size, king size, this doesn't fit that kind of bed. It's for kind of really tiny beds with really tiny people. But it's a nice little sheet you can put maybe underneath something, or you can even use the bed sheets as wall scrolls or curtains. I mean, you can kind of use them for whatever you really want because the sky's the limit. Sometimes people use them as the curtains. Sometimes you put them on the bed, or you just want to throw them over as just like a blanket that's wrapped around a couch or a little tiny sofa, or even like a comfy chair, whatever you think is best. And so there's a lot of different possibilities with that. And that's the Chino one. Now I'm going to show you two Prisma Ilia ones. As I mentioned, those are kind of expensive. Now, this next Prisma Ilia one I'm going to show you is actually Kuro from Prisma Ilia. And she was pretty expensive. I'd say her bed sheet for me was around 17,000 yen, I want to say. And that being said, she's extremely rare now. You can't really find her on a lot of sites, on auction sites, for example. You can't really find her on Amazon. You can't really find her on Mandarake. Even proxy sites with Yahoo Auction, it's very difficult to find her. And this bed sheet now I've seen go for auctions at 30,000 yen or more, which is about $300, because apparently this one is extremely hard to find. And I'm really glad I ended up picking it up because Curl is one of my favorite characters of all time. I've never actually seen the show, but the character design of Curl, the skin tone, the color, everything about her is pretty awesome. So this is one of the ones they released. I also have the Ilia one I'll show you here, and this is extremely rare. It was extremely expensive. About the same size as the Gochumon one, and as I mentioned, these can be pretty steep in price range, but overall the appearance, the design, everything about it was pretty awesome, so I ended up picking it up, and that's another one to add to the collection. And then finally I will show you the Kuro bedsheet. Not the Kuro bedsheet, I'm sorry, the Ilia bedsheet, which is very similar. Now this one's a little more common to find. You can find this in a lot of places, but originally I had to buy Kuro because I needed to find her. I didn't even know there was a Kuro one. I bought the Ilia one first, and then I ended up buying the Kuro one. Now for the Ilia one, it's not as interesting only because it doesn't really have like the logos and stuff on, or the actual writing of Prisma Ilia, but overall it still is pretty awesome. This one was about, I'd say, 12,000 yen for this bed sheet. It's a little more on the expensive side. You can find here pretty commonly on Mandarake. I think there's some still out there, including proxy sites as well, so check them out if you're looking for a nice Prisma Ilia bed sheet. Now, ironically enough, I've never even seen that show, but I love Kuro. She's one of my favorite characters. In fact, you'll see some cool merchandise coming up here as well for blankets. And that's pretty much it for the bed sheets. I also have two blankets I'm going to show you here. One is from Prisma Ilia, and this one is about I'd say now, it was on Ami Ami for a while, way back in the day, I think about 3 years ago. This one goes for now about, I bought it on Amazon, I'd say about 10,000 yen. No, actually 8,000 yen I think it goes for. So it's not that expensive, but it's still, not a cheap blanket. And it's the one with the shower scene. It's very big. This one's a very big blanket, and I really like it because it's extremely comfy. It's a nice soft material where if you run your hand over it, it kind of like, you can brush a little symbol and say like, hi, and write some writing on there. So the blanket itself is extremely comfortable, and I really like it. So it's definitely something to check out. And then finally, there's one other blanket I will have to pull out here. And this one is from the lovely Alcana, my favorite VNs of all time. The lovely Mashiro, and I'm sure some of you have seen this previously in other videos of mine or elsewhere. You always see these things in passing. But this Mashiro one, I ended up picking up. This one's a lot smaller. As you can tell, it's not as big as the Kuro one, but it's still, it's from Comic-Con. It's really nice. I like the sprites work. And it's lovely little Mashiro in a maid outfit. And it says, "Eat me." Very inappropriate. But it's a nice little blanket. This one was about, I'd say, 12,000 yen. Because I got it later after Comiket. So very comfortable, again, as usual. If you rub the material over here, it's got nice comfy stuff. So these are just some of the options, guys, that you can actually purchase from this segment of hobby. So I highly recommend checking out some of the bedding if you're really interested in that. This is just part 1 of this entire series. I have other videos, of course, I'm planning to make. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to check out the links in the description for specific potentially items, and also well, just basically price range for what you're kind of paying. Bedding is, as I mentioned previously, I hope, very expensive, and I'll put that in the description as well, that this is more on the high price range when you're buying otaku goods, because bedding is just like that. Bedding anywhere is extremely expensive. You buy sheets, mattresses, bed frames, they're all extremely expensive. Now, one thing I will say is that it's definitely awesome to know that when you get bedding items, you don't really need to keep collecting them. It's not like something that needs to fill out space, because you really only probably have one bed, maybe one chair, maybe a couch, wherever you are, because if you're not just putting this stuff in your room and you expand it more into your house, it gives you more option. I'm already running out of space in my room, as you may see, so it's really nice because bedding is kind of just a one-time thing. You get some Daikimakura, you get a couple cushion covers, you get a blankets, boom, you have your otaku bed. It's done. You don't need to worry about it. I mainly just collect a lot of this stuff and keep having more of it, like the 2 blankets, because I like collecting it. I like just displaying it. Again, those blankets have so much multi-purpose functions as well. You don't need to use them as blankets. If you really want to somehow wrap them as wall scrolls or tapestries, go for it. There's ways to do it. You know, be creative. You have so many different options with this stuff. You can be extremely creative, so check it out. Thanks, guys, for watching this first segment of the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to leave some comments in the comment section, and I hope you guys look forward to the next video segment, which will be all about clothing. See you next time.